welcome to the Creative Jam podcast. I'm your host Jack, and with me today
is Simon, as always.
Yeah, and we're missing Matt today.
Yeah,
he's not with us.
He's not dead.
Yeah, I very nearly said he's no longer with us, like I said last time. But that can be misconstrued as he's actually no longer with us. But
maybe he is dead. Who knows? I mean, I haven't spoken to him for like an hour, so you never know what happens in an hour.
Well, you never know. But he's in lockdown, so there can't be much that will happen.
Yeah, well, he has got loads of pets. Maybe it's tail death or something.
Depends if Man United have a bad result today. Might change his mood.
That's Everton fans for that.
Anyway, yeah, it's just us two today, and we are. I think we're rolling on episode 12 now.
Is it?
So we're doing well. We've actually recorded way more, but we've very slightly deleted some. Yeah, we've called some earlier episodes.
The swearing ones.
Yeah, that's a work in progress. Yeah, and if people are starting to tune in around this time in the podcast, like episodes probably like 8 to like now 12, you can evidently see an improvement in quality, whether that's in on a technical standpoint, because the mics have got better, especially on Matt's end.
Matt's not going to turn up battering its cage all the time.
Yeah, or on a just a presenting level. Not that we are by any stretch of the imagination amazing, but we're
degenerates.
We're a lot better than some of the first episodes which I was listening back to not long ago. You
know what? I think the most listened to one now is the customer service one.
Oh yeah, really?
Talk about customer service makes you a nicer person, which it does.
You know what that is? That'll be because of a clickbait title.
Yeah, very true. I think it's just I think more people can relate to that really, because you randomly discover this podcast and think customer service makes you a nicer person. I think either you work in customer service and think, yeah, it does. I'm a nice person, because or people on the end of the spectrum be like, yeah, people are quite horrible to people in customer service, but I'm not. I'm good. I don't know. It's quite intriguing, I guess.
Well,
isn't it?
I think it's I think like what makes people click on an actual episode for it to be popular is like the title's got to do a lot with it, but also like what's the most recent episode. But that's kind of like a statement in it. It's like it's kind of like at you quite a lot. Like it makes you a nice person.
Yeah, it's very direct, isn't it?
Yeah, some of the other titles are just kind of phrases or something. Which could be intriguing, but they don't really like push you to click on.
Yeah, it's not quite a Liverpool Echo headline, is it? On Facebook, where they just put some
don't
random stuff.
Liverpool Echo.
No, that's what I'm saying.
They're awful.
They're so clickbaity. It's just bad like this. Well, not as bad as the Sun. They're like the ultimate scumbags, but all these crap tabloids, they're just awful.
Yeah, I mean, there's a method to it though, and there's this SEO and kind of getting your keywords out there, because you will get searched.
Yeah.
Right. So that was our first tangent for the pod. This week we're trying to stick on the whole creativity vibe still, and we've decided that we're going to take a look at Big Sur. Big boy Sur. Is that how you say it, Sur?
I think so, yeah. I don't know. It's like Sur, isn't it? It's usually named after some kind of not monument, but like place of interest.
It's a place in California, I think.
Yeah. So you got Sierra. What else?
Catalina. That's that island.
Yosemite.
In the desktop background.
Is it Yosemite?
What was your fun?
There's a few.
I'm pretty sure there was a Silicon a while back.
There's like a snow leopard, stuff like that, but yeah, I think it just changes, but I assume it's going to be hard to pronounce, because a few places in America hard to pronounce, to be fair.
Yeah, it is. I'm on a Wikipedia page here, and it is named after a coastal region in California. You can just it's the backgrounds in it. They change it, so like this one's got like a cool like coast now.
Yeah, it's like a gradient though, isn't it?
Yeah,
sure they got it up.
They've got the actual. They have got the actual pictures as well. Yeah, so that dropped. I don't know when it actually officially dropped, but we both downloaded it in the last week.
Yeah, 40 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back.
General availability the 12th of November, so it was about probably about 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah. You know what's quite funny about that? Do you ever find that like when you update your computer, you think, oh, you've got to do it kind of outside work time, because if you do it when you start work, you're a bit like, well, I'm going to lose 40 minutes of my day. Can't happen.
Yeah.
So when do you do it though? Because we're a bit like, I don't do it in the evening either, or in the morning. I'm like, oh.
And like, because you've got like my laptop and iMac at home, because I work from home. As soon as I'm done with work, I like just emphatically like
do all the maintenance,
close my laptop,
right.
and I'm like done. I'm on my iMac now. My iMac's for like other stuff, so like I always forget to. But yeah, I've been stung a few times in work where I'm like, I'll just make this update, and it's not being like a complete
like OS,
like operating system change, but when it's like a little update, or I see it and it's like it kind of says that it's going to be not a big one. I've done it a few times in work in the morning, and I've just sat there for like 40 minutes like, this is such a mistake. And it's like I can't really do much without my laptop in work, except like get my notebook out and just pretend to be like drawing ideas.
Pretend to be productive. We're trying to be productive and thinking, what am I doing? I haven't got my emails up.
Not let anyone know that you've just kind of done this.
To be fair, I'm lucky enough I've got both work iMac laptop, both work. So I just basically what I did was did it on my laptop first, and then did it on my iMac, and then just swapped over. That's the beauty of Dropbox.
So it's been a while since we've had a new operating system. I'm not sure when Catalina dropped. Sometime
the thing is, though, I think what I'd say more so is this the largest kind of difference.
Do you think?
In operating system for sure. For a while, I remember it was I don't know which one it was. I think it might have even been Snow Leopard when I first started UX. Essentially, we had that one, and then we moved over. That's when you saw the change in like the bottom panel and stuff. And obviously, I was speaking about the icons too, things like that.
Yeah,
like there's a big switch. I think when the iPhone changed their interface quite a lot to what you see it as it is now, with like the translucent backgrounds, we can see behind it and stuff. That was kind of in line with the iPhone's update, and this one as well. I'd say this one, Big Sur, is now or even more so aligned with the iPads and iPhones and stuff like that. So it almost seems like they've kind of got all the houses in order across all devices.
Yeah.
Because everything looks really similar now, but not the same, which is interesting.
Well, so they normally, you're right there. And like they normally like launch new things on either or, whether it's like a new interface on the iPhone or whatever. And then that might inform the design of a MacBook and vice versa. Normally it was always the other way, because MacBook would get the updates and then they might incorporate some of that into the iPhone. But the one that strikes out the most for me is the notification center on this new Big Sur update, which I remember dropping on iPhone like 2 years ago, something like that, and the iPad, which was pretty cool when it came out. But I don't use it as on the iPhone, even on the iPad. It's a cool thing and I like it, but I don't use it. Like I don't use it as much as like I probably should. I
do, because sometimes I miss a message on an iPhone and I'll be like, oh, there we go. That's what that's who's basically, texted me, or I've got a notification for this or that. Like if it goes away from the top bar, like the banner, then you can find it in there. There's the only reason why I use it. That's it. I'd never use it on the Mac, if that's what you're saying.
No, so now it's on the Mac.
There always was one similar, but it was always a bit, clunky.
Yeah. Again, I use that actually more for notifications on my iMac than my phone.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
For like, because I've got like news apps and stuff. So like, if something was like struck my eye, but then I forgot about it and then remembered, I click on that. But this one's a lot smoother. So you just click on the time. All of it is a lot quicker. And one thing I do like about this is the widgets thing. So like you can like, I don't know, it might have been there beforehand, but it was a lot more clunky last time. But this seems pretty simple. Like you can just edit your widgets and they look really nice. Like
what, in the same respect, like your control center on your I know what you're saying. So that's exactly the iPhone now, isn't it?
And it's not like I think the old one was like it was kind of like a whole background and stuff, but this is just kind of like in the foreground. It blurs out the backdrop a little bit.
the best inclusion for me that's similar to that is when you go onto your Bluetooth, you can actually know when your headphones are connected now. 'Cause obviously, me and Jack are kind of, well, let's be honest, we've all got like AirPods, iPhone, iPad, iMac, MacBook. Name an Apple device we haven't got, and you won't be able to, put it that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, previously it's kind of one of the things, you know, very typical old school kind of computer, you know, thing of like a loading wheel when you put, you know, collect your AirPods, and you're like, is it on, is it not? And I could never tell, because all it was bolded out text. Now it's like a proper button. They've done really well, like I say, it just looks so much better, it functions so much better as well, with even tiny tweaks. It goes to show as well like how long it probably takes to develop something like this, because every aspect they've covered, I think, in terms of how they've, you know, made everything work now. What's the internet like? Like Wi-Fi, is that the same as the Bluetooth? And obviously the speakers as well, so you know what you're connected to.
It's similar in design,
but it's not the same kind of, you're connected to this one, that kind of thing.
No, but I guess you would be on Wi-Fi less, because when you're connected, you're connected.
It's not as important as well, because exactly, once you've remembered the Wi-Fi password, it's fine. But the Bluetooth and stuff, it makes a big difference, it really does. Especially because obviously, you know, I'm on calls all day kind of thing, so I need to know what I'm connected to, what I'm not connected to. Is it on, is it not? Like, mouse gets connected, keypad gets connected, keyboard even. But yeah, so it's good. Just much more functional, really functional.
Yeah, there's like little improvements. There's improvements to maps, which is a lot better now. There's a lot more info. It's more connected to the internet, so when you click on a place, it's got more information and like photos and stuff. It seems like it's not just a separate app. However, it's still paling in comparison to Google Maps, I think. Mm-hmm. But at least it's kind of on. It's not completely blown out the water now. Safari's a bit better. You've got like a top sites and like section when you first go on, and
so when you type in P, it brings up your favorite website.
Yeah. My portfolio.
Yes.
I can't remember what was the one I said last week. Porcelain, I think I said
porcelain.
Yes. What do you think to like the overall design? It's a lot more rounded edges.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
The way like the navigation bars are and that, like it just, it's so much slicker.
Well, this is it, right? So I always said this from the start. Like, for example, everyone's like, you know, it's like the age-old debate. Like, are you a Mac? Are you a PC? I think you might spoke about it before. Are you a Mac? Are you a PC?
Yeah.
Apple, I think you might have even said last week as well, or someone said it recently. The fact that Apple don't make the best quality kind of components and stuff. For example, if you want to build a gaming computer, you would not choose Mac, but you would choose, you know, you can build your own for like probably half the price. That's probably double the amount of power than a MacBook, but they have everything about it, the design aspects of it is so beautiful compared to like PC. Chromebooks, they're quite nice, but that's Google. You can see why. It's, you know, very similar, but Microsoft they have not got it down. There's too much going on. The interface has always been terrible, but Mac has always been really nice.
Yeah.
Really,
it's
really
something
beautiful.
That I said, I don't think I mentioned it on the podcast before, but yeah, it's like Apple or people like to say what they will about Apple, but they don't care if they're not like the first ones to get something or launch something.
Sure.
They don't really invent stuff either. You know, in the phone market, like Samsung or like always like try and invent the first thing quickest, and like with Apple, like whether it was like AirPods or touchscreen and stuff like that, they, correct me wrong, but like were never the ones that invented it, never the ones to first do it, but they're actually totally comfortable in that, because they expect other people to like break the boundaries, but Apple are concerned about whether it's right for the user, accessible, and like they then start implementing these features into their world when they feel like they can scale it and make sure that every single person in like a household can actively use them. So they didn't feel that like wireless earphones were good enough until then they did the AirPod and were like, we're not just gonna I think they've learned along the way, because there's been a few products from Apple in the early days which
fell flat, like.
Yeah, just not very good. I think the first incarnations of the watch weren't great.
Yeah. Still better than like the
remember the iPod Touch.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
I know you mean, it's like an iPhone that wasn't an iPhone, basically.
Exactly. So they saw that, and that stuff hasn't worked for them. There's another example which is a better one. It escapes me.
It's not the Mac Pro, is it? Like the dustbin, people like to call it. Because that was essentially what a Mac Pro was like a desktop, tower.
Yeah.
The really small one.
I could probably...
They were good, but they weren't incredible, I don't think. And they kind of don't do them anymore. They stopped doing them. I think they bought a new tower out, didn't they? The one's like, I think it's something stupid, like 10 grand for the whole setup.
Yeah.
Like the stands like $1,000 and stuff, but then...
Yeah.
But that's, it's
interesting. That probably lumped into it. But they only incorporate these things when they can market them, and they make sure that they make them looking the best, that they wear it the best, and they basically implement it into culture. That's how good Apple are.
Oh, they're incredible. I think as well for Apple, I think they are very much product designers, whereas you've got people like Microsoft or Samsung, whatever, they're more, I don't know what the word to describe them as really, but probably like more focused on
inventors,
the
innovators.
Innovators, yeah, exactly.
They care about the software and
well, it says a lot when
specs.
Apple were using Samsung parts in their MacBooks for years, weren't they?
Yeah.
I think they still might do, and Intel as well.
Apple worked with Microsoft for ages on new software. They're not that bothered.
I think it's a way to
something that Steve Jobs has kind of incorporated into their culture. Like they're very comfortable in their lane, and I know that's why I just like them, because they don't like.
They just make good stuff, don't they? That's like for like you say, for the every person.
Yeah, and they know how to make it good, and they know when it's not good, and they don't waste your time.
Simple functional design. Even the computers themselves, like I don't think it's aluminium, is it? Maybe it's aluminium. It's not plastic, it's not clunky, they always feel nice, you know what I mean? Like everything about it, a MacBook.
Yeah.
I know that it's expensive. But for example, when my mum first got like a smartphone, I was like, get an iPhone, because if she looked at anything like an Android, it had to get blown off. But an iPhone she can use, she's got an iPad now. Yeah. And this is like really technically, they're not minded with that. My mum and my father just don't know how to use them. Yeah. That's why I said get a Chromebook to my father, because obviously they're similar in the way they're designed. They're very much just app based. It's like based like an iPad that's got a keyboard attached to it.
Yeah.
But then if someone like that can use Apple, but Android, they'd have no chance, because they're too. I don't know. Just they're not designed nicely. They're not. The user experience is bad, I think. I really do. There's too much going on. It's not nice. But yeah, Apple have just got it down to a T. It's just very much like it's beautiful, it works, and it is good tech as well. Let's be honest. A MacBook is a powerful machine, $3,000 wise, but. You got $3,000. We'd spend $3,000 on it because for us it's industry standard.
I know I have some friends that like have PCs, and they would argue that like, why the hell would I spend that amount of money when I can?
I agree. Depends what you use it for.
Build my own PC for $800 or whatever.
I know.
But it's like,
without game, simple as.
Well,
conversation over.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of I don't get involved in those arguments because life's too short. But I just kind of end it by saying like, my industry.
Oh yeah, it's industry standard. Massively.
I couldn't if I wanted to. Like it's industry standard and all the software that's on it and that, but even still, I can't be bothered and don't have the time to enter that world of like build and custom made and stuff like that.
In the zone, so in the ecosystem as well.
It's like I'm made for Apple because I need that kind of tech that is just already kind of super accessible. It's all like built in and it looks great. Well. It's not confusing.
Well, this is the thing as well with Apple, like they've kind of done something great. Like I know Samsung are trying to do it similar. Daniel's a good example to use because he was saying ages ago he's getting a new phone.
Our friend Daniel, and ex-flatmate.
Yeah, old flatmate, ex-flatmate. That sounds sad. That sounds like he broke up with him. It's mutual. We're all still friends. But, he's obviously used Samsung. I think he's on LG, but anyway, Android. Then he got a smartwatch, which is Android. Now he's got Galaxy Buds now, which is, Samsung's version of the AirPods, but Apple the same in the way they've made an ecosystem. So, your phone rings, your MacBook rings, your iMac rings, your iPad device rings, the cat rings because it's got something up its ass. That must be Apple. But it's...
I'm starting to see the screen's time notification just hit every device I have now.
Like, you're spending too much time on this device, this device, that one needs more love, that kind of thing.
But then you need to like go onto the device to see that app notification, which is ironic.
Yeah, it's just brilliant though, isn't it? You know what I mean? The fact that, you can
I love
use
the
all these things.
connectivity of Apple. Yeah.
It's just so seamless. And that's why, I don't think we'd ever get anything but iPhones, to be honest, or anything like that.
Oh no, like AirDrop I rinse AirDrop
incredible.
all the time.
Even that itself, though, all it is Bluetooth. But then the way they've rebranded that as AirDrop, it's great because, you can just like drag and drop. Jobs are good and see you later.
Yeah, it's so simple. Just get like incredible. A clunky file in my Finder and just literally drag it or folders or whatever. And to anyone that has the same device, which more often not in an office is everyone, just click on the picture and there you go.
You think about it as well, even obviously, Form, they all use Mac. Every single one of them, the consultants, why should they have a Mac? Probably, don't need Macs, but I think, they understand the kind of functionality. It's just great. You know what I mean? And they work obviously with creative and tech. So then, again, they're probably in the ecosystem with clients, things like that. So, if you're in the creative world, it's a good question. Actually, people should kind of email us in. When no one has you, I'm upset about it. It's like the, 12th one in, no one's emailed us yet. But anyway, are you in the creative kind of world and do you use PC? I'd be interested to know.
Well, my parent company, their big offices in London, I think it's like maybe 6 months ago, they had MacBooks for everyone in the office. I don't think everyone, but like they had like 6, 7 to a table or whatever.
Yeah, that was the kind of majority.
Yeah, and it's like big office, like I don't know, like over 100 people in it, maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
that's heavy in it.
Yeah,
big
easily.
Office.
But they last time I went down, they'd actually wiped the whole place and converted to PC.
That's interesting.
Which, like,
that would annoy me.
Filled me with dread. Like, because like, luckily I don't work there full time. Might do in the future. But also luckily I have my own devices. But if I was down there and I was relying on their tech, I'd be questioning it. I think I never knew why, but I think it's a money issue. I think it's just cheaper.
You know what? I think it might have been leased because you can lease computers. Like, so it's probably the
they'd
case.
Have to with a big company.
Yeah, you couldn't have everyone. How much is that? 100 people. You're talking $2,000 a piece. 200k on computers. But yeah, it's probably leased, and they probably thought, you know what? Because I must admit, how many people are doing things that me and you would do on them? Probably like half.
Here's the catch: like, there's not much like actual like creation and like making things in that office. I don't think, at least when I was
not on a big level anyway.
Still locked down for a long time, but when I was going in like every so often, it was all like data management and blah blah and like people like animes and stuff like that, like full on like creatives in production were contractors, so they were just other people outside the office. So I guess it didn't affect it massively, and even still, to be fair, a lot of people use Premiere down there, Premiere Pro video editing software, Adobe, but they were just making like compilations and stuff. They weren't doing heavy video editing.
Yeah, not like proper what you do in terms of like fully blown.
So you can still get that software on PCs, and they use it.
You I just wouldn't like using it. It's just
especially being so literate with Matt now that
just makes sense to swap over.
And the fact that it's industry standard as well, like it annoyed me that like I'd have to switch, and then wherever else I went, it's the other way, and it just seems a bit annoying.
Well, this is it. I mean, I can't really comment too much. I don't really know what Adobe looks like on PC, but I'm assuming it's similar. But even I think there's going to be slight differences where you wouldn't know where the buttons were and stuff. You know what I mean?
Keyboard shortcuts, like
that would annoy me.
Which I use
it's
heavily.
Largely the same, isn't it? But it's not the same. That's the thing.
It's the little things that throw you off. I can imagine, like
like control deleters, command option shift, isn't it?
And it's the Apple keys that aren't found on PC keyboards that I'd use the most in like Adobe stuff, like the command and
command Z,
the little Apple key and stuff like that, and like it just I don't think that's the same PC.
You know what the
that
thing
just
as well,
me a little bit.
You think about it, like all PCs keyboards are different. Apple largely the same. Even the Magic keyboards, there, if you put it on top of your actual MacBook keyboard, it'd be exactly the same layout.
I was saying that the other week. Yeah,
exactly. So you think about it, like they've done it in a way that everything's the same, which
your
makes
hands
sense.
Your hands are adjusted, like you are
because a PC is not
ingrained
just
into
one
it.
company. A PC is like hundreds of companies. You've got like
Yeah,
HP, LG, Samsung, Lenovo. Although saying that, interestingly enough, industry standard for designers, creators, whatever, most of our developers use Mac.
Yeah.
But got our technical director who uses Linux, which is like a completely different thing altogether. Yeah. But I think I'm pretty sure he has issues with like certain things. Like I don't think Adobe Illustrator works on it. Silly things like this. It's like I might ask him like I'm like, why did you opt for Linux? Is it Linux? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
I remember back when I was younger, a kid at home. I mean, we grew up without like social media and stuff, but
I didn't have computers till like 13.
We're like the last generation 12. To like know what it was like before social media and like early internet
the good
days.
old days.
But we had like one very clunky house computer in the corner, the dining room or something like that.
8-bit.
Yeah.
On dial-up.
Yeah. I think I had MSN at the time.
Yeah.
And everyone had to use that. It was the only way to be connected. And growing up in a house when there's 7 of us, I've got 4 brothers. You had to like do shifts to go on it as well.
An hour a day would be 7 hours. You probably couldn't get from school. There's no way you're getting 7 lads
and
on
this
that.
is like
an hour a piece.
In the early days it'd be like dial up as well. You couldn't be on the phone at the same time. But
crazy.
Yeah, so it was problematic. But if it went down, like it was kind of like the only thing that would like immediately unite the family with like invested interest, because everyone would be like, oh no, each individual person would be like, I need that computer to do something. And like no problem, got fixed quicker than like something to do with the PC in the corner. But I remember one time it just kind of, I have no idea what happened to it, but it was dying and it needed like a reboot or something. And my mum took it to work because a work colleague, their husband worked in IT.
Oh, fix computers.
So they were like, yeah, he'll fix the computer. And we were like, okay, cool. And he came back and he'd installed Ubuntu.
What's that?
Which is like an operating software.
Oh, right.
That's not like
No
Microsoft. It's not
what?
Mac. It's not. It's like it. I think it's quite popular for like IT guys.
Yeah.
And
your nerds basically.
Yeah. And this fella installed it, and we just came back, and it was just foreign to us. We might as well just like
being like Japanese.
Yeah, just got a computer from like Asia, and we just didn't know what to do with it because the interface was horrendous. It was ugly as hell. It was so ugly.
It was fuming.
Loads of our like files and stuff weren't compatible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And yeah, it was. I just remember thinking like,
Opera.
what the hell is this? Yeah, and we were just
Anarchy in the living room.
Dismay. We were just like, what is this? Because what like an IT guy who's like in his 50s might think is good and like accessible or whatever. It's not the same for like 14-year-old boys who just want to like use the Microsoft.
14.
You couldn't even get like Microsoft Word and stuff on it. You had to use their version, which meant that the
system,
files had to be transferred into these horrible things. But then if you wanted to like write something in their software, you then had difficulty to convert it back, which is what I think would be a nightmare for like my parent company in London.
Yeah,
like because they deal with files. That's the one thing they do deal with, like loads of like video files, audio files, whatever. And it's bad enough. It doesn't take ages, but like it's a first world problem for sure. But like just writing like scripts or whatever in like a Pages document, but then having to always convert it to like Word for like other people.
It does annoy me as well.
But there's other occasions where like been sending big parts of data and they've requested that we export it into I don't know if it was like CSV files or something like that. But you just don't need that effort. You don't need that obstacle in the way when you're trying to do like quick work, like in a day-to-day basis.
To be honest, we kind of have the same problem with obviously clients where they ask us to kind of share a PowerPoint, for example. Sometimes we get asked to kind of make, investment decks and stuff, documents, which is always fine. But sometimes they request that we make that editable for them. But then the issue you've got is we use InDesign, which is one hurdle.
Yeah.
Then you can put into Keynote, InDesign to Keynote generally works fine. Like, you don't get many problems. You can always replace things, whatever, simple. But then if they don't use Mac, which rarely they do, it's usually PC, you've got to convert that to PowerPoint then. And you'd think it's, largely the same software, which it is, but it still doesn't convert completely. So you've got to basically do it 3 times over in order to get it right. And even then, PowerPoint is not a design tool. People need to know this. PowerPoint is not a design tool in the slightest.
For someone who doesn't know your world that well, or not.
Oh, it's awful.
That much. Like, I wouldn't have thought people would think it was anyway.
Well, I think because, like I say, when you're doing things like, things for investment purposes, like obviously it's got like bells and whistles, and most of the time it does. You do like a PDF in InDesign, great, 'cause it's a design tool, but, people don't really understand I think they understand the importance of the way it looks. It has to look good, but then because they're so used to just seeing crappy PowerPoints everywhere, it's almost like they don't care as much as I might, because my job is to make it look beautiful. Their job is to get, further investment. So, they don't care. As long as the graphs are on point, you can read the graphs great. But PowerPoint is awful. Really awful. But then it is a tool for someone who's not a designer, who's not a creative person. That is essentially, it's like Paint when you were a kid. Oh, I can make some cool stuff on Paint. That's what PowerPoint is. Oh, I'm a designer. I can make PowerPoint presentations. Great, it works. But then, it's best to be left alone, put it that way. If you can use other stuff, then you should. Yeah,
for sure.
Or employ someone to do it. And give them the content right the first time, then it just go shoo. Done.
Let's end on the icons with Big Sur. So you were mentioning to me the other day, but skeuomorphism looks like it's coming back.
Well, yeah, it's weird because, basically when they used to have, like, if you remember the first ever YouTube icon, probably, the easiest one to describe, remember that on the first iPhones and iPods? It was like a boxy telly. Remember that?
Yeah.
All the icons, like this kind of crazy, like 3D cool stuff. And that's obviously, when that came out, was that, what year was the iPhone released? 2007? 8?
I want to say 8, but
around that time.
A bit earlier.
And that's when computers were starting to be, out of the 90s, starting to become into the early 2000s. Would you call it early 2000s? Yeah, pretty much. Whatever. Like 2008-9 when it first started to come out, like this, post-90s computers.
Oh, computers.
And then, from the 90s to the 2000s, like the millennium came, and then they got better and better, that's what I'm saying.
I think the new Mac was launched in 98. I think that was Steve Jobs' big conference.
That's what I'm saying. So it's, it's starting to come a lot better.
Yeah,
we're getting rid now into like technical age.
Laptops was like early 2000s and stuff like that.
Exactly. But then you can see that transition between, 8-bit stuff to, like, this crazy cool 3D, and obviously that's when, software started getting better and better.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be Quark, then became the Adobe programs and all the rest of it. So that's, wow, we've got this technology, software, to make these cool icons, 3D and stuff. Have you got them up there?
Yeah, I've actually got reactions on Twitter to these icons.
Oh, wow. Let me
some of the I'll read them off, and then you can take a deeper look into them.
It's just the way it's progressed from that, how it started.
Let me read some of these tweets. Googling how to replace Big Sur icons. The new Big Sur icons are too colourful and fun. Bring back Catalina's simplicity. Damn system preferences icons in Big Sur are a complete mess. Just updated my MacBook to macOS Big Sur, and I just want to say that whoever designed these icons needs to be, puts caps lock on, fired, because this is the ugliest Mac software I have ever seen. Someone said, I'm sorry, but what on earth is this? And it's the battery, which I was looking at today because it took it off my top bar for some reason. It's
just, it's subjective. Awful people.
All right. So this one's like, I'm sorry, but on earth is this? It's a battery. I'm looking at that as not in the design world, and I'm like, that's just a battery to me.
Well,
like,
what's the problem with that?
Yeah, like, why is this person?
This is the problem though with people. Like, people want an opinion because they have one. It's ridiculous.
At Lucas on Twitter, why is he so offended by that battery?
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, well, you know what annoys me? It's like, like I say, it went from skeuomorphic design to start with, which everything was like that. It was like 3D, drop shadows, Photoshop madness. Then went into flat design, and one of the ones they redid, I forgot which one it was now, but anyway, that's, flat, simple, great.
Yeah.
But then flat design's now gone out the window, and you got a bit of a mix of both. Like I say, the skeuomorphisms come back, and they're 3D now. It's got the gradients and stuff, but people like him need to just go to bed, because at the end of the day, it's a battery.
Someone said it looks like Apple have just discovered shadows. For listeners who aren't fully aware, can you explain like skeuomorphism a little bit, especially in terms of icons? Because do Apple are they the trendsetters in all this?
Well, yeah, the only one that really does that. I mean, I can't really comment because I don't know what the other ones look like. I haven't seen Android in ages, but I think they've always kept that kind of basically skeuomorphism is like the 3D kind of realism aspect to it.
Yeah,
like it's got that kind of It
looks like it's
real.
a physical button, even though it's on a screen.
Yeah, well, you know what can be done really badly, but Apple they've got a bit of both. Like I was saying to you, wasn't I? If you look at anyone who's got an iMac or a MacBook, whatever, look at like the system preferences icon on the the new Big Sur, then look at it on your iPhone, because obviously there's differences there. They're both 3D in aspects, but the iPhone ones are so much more simplified, and that is simply because you're looking at a smaller screen. There's no point in doing too many bells and whistles things, then it would look weird, But when you've got the space, and obviously don't forget all these things like 4K, 5K ready now. You know what I mean? You may as well have them because you've got the display for it, so make them a bit more 3D. It's just little tiny elements to make it look a bit more realistic.
It's interesting that they keep changing it though. Like it's an informed decision to change it.
I think it's just something different as well, isn't it? I mean, flat design's great, but even flat design's kind of dying a bit now. People want that kind of aspect of stipple shading, things that look like not 3D as in that's no perspective kind of 3D nature to it, but at least comes off the screen a little bit. Don't forget design trends go. Oh, sorry. Yeah,
there are a lot of people
design
that
trends
are
come and go,
giving love to them as well. Does that affect actual?
It's not even that much difference. It's only
design, like graphic design, because I think I was reading somewhere not long ago that when Apple went into flat design, it kind of affected a lot of and influenced a lot of just graphic design that you see with e-commerce and stuff, where they're doing that flat.
Oh, yeah.
Any design was always flat, whether it was stick men kind of designs.
Yeah, I feel as though with trends come and go, everyone knows what trends are like. It's like fashion trends for the same thing, what was cool in the 80s came back in Liverpool now with the big massive, curly hair.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm wearing right now, but it's not my problem. We're in lockdown, I can't get a haircut. But that's what I'm saying, things come and go.
I feel with the design of whether it's flat or skeuomorphism as well, the fact that it kind of was, they kind of gone back to it, or elements of it, it's just how the human eye becomes familiar with something, and then any change won't be new. So they could just keep going back and forth every so often because they think that everyone's kind of we feel that this is old now because we've seen it too often.
The weird thing about it is though the fact that the new icons, they're a bit more like the actual renders, 3D renders now. The old ones back when Apple first brought out the iPhone, iPod, whatever, they were very much using flat color to make it look 3D, if that makes sense. You know what I mean by that? So now these new icons have got a bit of texture to them, so that makes them look more realistic, because a CGI film, for example, even that technology, if you call it technology, is surpassed from now look what you can do with CGI. Same thing with computer software or even design from screen. You can do some crazy stuff with the e-commerce stuff. It's a bit I feel as though simple can be better with stuff like that, because obviously ultimately you're trying to drive sales. There is some bells and whistles, but never really crazy 3D mad stuff. If it is 3D, it's CGI again. That's what people use now to make all these really cool things. But yeah, it's like anything with these things, it's all subjective stuff. I never really look at it subjectively. I look at it a bit more oh, I see what you've done there, or I found it interesting how they have changed it, and how the history kind of comes and goes of like you said, why it's an informed decision, why have they dun that? Probably no reason, but let's just make a bit of a change. We've got this, we can use 3D software, so we may as well make them a bit more punchy, a bit more and like I say, if you notice done it on the not on the iPhone, what does that tell you? They did it for a reason, for flat design and skeuomorphic design. I mean, you can call it that, but 3D design, because it makes sense for certain places.
They've changed a few of the actual icon designs as well a little bit.
Like the Finder with the weird. We couldn't really work out what it was. Could be it was like a viewfinder. Do I had some weird
preview
thing?
that is, yeah. So it's got like a it's like a glass funnel
Is
kind
that
of
a
thing.
looking glass? Is that what it's meant to be?
Is that what a looking glass is?
I don't
Like,
know, but I've heard that, you know, looking glass. Yeah,
like,
yeah. So maybe that's what it
so
is.
like you put it on the actual surface or something, it looks bigger than it is. It's like, well, it's just a form of a magnifying glass.
Essentially, yeah.
I feel like we're being idiots with what that is.
We probably are, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna
But
lie, I haven't got a clue.
yeah.
I just heard that once and thought, maybe
Yeah,
looking glass.
I'm not totally familiar with that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of like, what was it before? It was like, it was like a magnifying glass or something like that.
I can't remember. It's mad that, isn't it? Let's was it not
yeah,
just the like
funny.
image thing? Like I don't know. It's crazy how you forget, isn't it?
No, I'll have to quickly look it up. But like, this new one is like a little glass in a corner of a square with like the side of a beach and the ocean, and it just didn't seem, the actual glass is quite small. It's like a quarter of the square, so it just didn't seem so obvious to me. It just seems a bit weird. I was trying to look for the old preview icon. Okay, so it's like, I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah, I can't see it properly. Oh, is it like the camera lens?
So it's a version of it.
Just not worlds apart. It's just
Yeah, it's a version of it, but I guess I never really cared about that preview image before, but now I see it. I guess the design is a better design of it, but then it highlighted to me how not great that icon is in reference to like what it actually is. It just seems a bit irrelevant. It doesn't strike me as like, oh yes, preview. I'm just like, what is that button?
Yeah.
I think the relationship of the image to like what my instant feeling of what that button does, the action of it, it's not as closely linked as say like FaceTime with the video camera or something like that.
But this is the thing, is icons isn't like, you know, for me, icons are universal languages. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But then you've got, has it got like text underneath it, say what it is?
Yeah, it's all got like,
this is why we say like,
the
you know, I
names.
don't understand.
Unless you
know,
put it in your bar, then
yeah, I try and use icons less and less sometimes, because I always find that you know, if it's not needed, it's hard to explain what something is with an icon sometimes, because sometimes it can be that intricate. There's no way you're doing that, and not everyone's going to get it. Like I say, it's so subjective, every aspect of it. That's probably more for like website stuff, but with this it's a bit like, you know, the radical change is the launchpad. That's now the dock. You know, it looks like, you know,
yeah,
it looks absurd essentially, but then, you know, you get used to it. Everyone will be like, oh, that's what that means now, because it used to be before launchpad was like you know, a rocket ship on the circle, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Which is interesting. That was Apple's own thing.
Like that.
And I would say it's like one of the boxes you see in like an iPhone, like a folder kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah, that does. Yeah, that now makes me think. Yeah, that's what that is. I just realised another change is that they kind of have completely scrapped iTunes now.
oh, okay.
So for me, who uses Apple Music, they've just got like, so this is kind of like a branding thing in a way. Like they've just got music with the red
Yeah.
box.
Yeah,
I don't think they've used red before, so that's interesting. But yeah, previously iTunes was still like surviving by the skin of its teeth, even though when you click on it,
Yeah.
it's Apple Music inside.
It should took them so long to kind of take that away, but they've got to do things properly, haven't they? They can't just take it away like, oh, update, job's a good one.
Yeah, it was updated on the phones and that, like it was Apple Music, although is it the same? It's maybe I haven't updated my phone actually, but that's what the old music logo was. So they had it on the phones, but not what they've decided to put on the MacBook. And the Apple Music interface is like so much better now as well, which I'm quite happy with.
Is it? I haven't looked. I haven't really used Apple Music.
Yeah,
That did need a bit of a freshen up, to be fair.
yeah. Well, it was just a bit too like iTunes, but it was like when you went on like the Listen Now and browse pages and whatever, those pages were nicely designed, but then you'd go on to when you listen to music on your artist page and that, and it was like, oh, I'm back in iTunes. But now they've kind of finished the job in a way a little bit.
That's interesting.
It still looks a little bit like iTunes on the whatever, but yeah, that's pretty cool.
I wonder what these things look like in light mode, sorry. Me and Jack use dark mode. Everyone thinks we're weird for it, but we don't care. We like dark mode.
Yeah, I mean, well, I toggled between the two when I was doing the update and see what light mode looked like, and it just hurts my eyes, man.
Yeah, I don't like it. Dark mode's awesome.
The white, like even when I go on a web page and it's white, I have to turn my brightness down. It just absolutely destroys my eyes.
We've kind of ruined ourselves now. What happens if that functionality gets taken away one day?
I know, but this is so normal to me, like looking in dark mode. So, I hope not.
You know what upsets about Apple Music or whatever it is? I've got some horrendous tunes in me that I've bought when I was like proper young, like I'm talking like 12, 13.
That's the funny thing about it. It keeps what you bought like in iTunes.
Which is crazy. I got some proper moody tunes on here, mate.
I remember going back to when I was younger on that infamous computer in the one computer in the house.
Oh,
we would all have like iTunes, the one iTunes account, and we'd have like our own like playlists or whatever for each person. And you kind of took pride in, this is like back there, I mean we're going back like 10 to a
long time,
even to like 15 years ago, and like music collection was like a thing, like it was cool, and you could buy songs but no one's buying songs, so like you would illegally download like LimeWire and that. Or you'd buy the CD and then burn it. That to me seemed more of a normal thing to do than just buying the online version, because online music wasn't a thing really. You'd still buy the CD.
Not like it is now. CDs kind of were still cool, weren't they?
Yeah, or like cassette players like Walkmans and that.
Or like you say, get it for free illegally.
But like I built my iTunes collection. Like that was it. Like it was where like you would collect other things in life now, like you collected music and that was your music, and I must have had like over 10,000 songs that like I managed to build up when I was like from like 12 till like 16, 17, and I think I was like the age where like music was really important to me, like like 16, 17, and that computer meltdown that forced us to have Ubuntu
made you cry,
wiped my whole iTunes library.
Wow.
And to this day it like makes me shudder. Like it ended me. Like when it happened, that was just like I don't know what to do. I felt like I'd lost a limb. And to go back to the beginning was just not a possibility. Yeah, back then as well. You
can't forget songs, you know. Once you love them, you still forget them.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you'd like try and build it again, and like you just couldn't.
You can't catch the same kind of essence of like this is my jam.
You wouldn't know any different, but like imagine like some music where like you just haven't listened to again because you don't have it, and you just it's lost forever. Like especially back then, like when like emo and like pop punk and stuff like that was like big. It was like post pop punk. There was like, and like just rock, general rock. There was loads of like young bands that like released music but then died.
Yeah.
But and you can't like some you can't even find on like Spotify, Apple Music anymore. And at the time you just got to download or something. This was when like bands would like just email downloads of like songs as well.
Bandcamp and
that was the only
like
way you could get it, and like that's gone now. And it's like, wow, like
it is mad,
horrible to think of, but
like you say, you know, it was a decade ago, which seems mad, but it doesn't feel like it. But
and now you can just get nearly every song you ever want just streamed
on Spotify and stuff.
It doesn't cost anything.
Well, that's on Simmer, didn't I? When obviously I had a student's account, and this is probably a bad thing. Spotify, this like I had the student's account when I first made it, and I wanted to get the free Google Home Hub because, you know, free stuff's free stuff. Why would I not want one for free?
It tastes better when it's free.
Well, exactly. So I had to, you know, remake an account and then ask them to kind of swap over my, you know, email address, this account, because I didn't want to, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I lost all me Discover Weeklies, which is a big thing on Spotify. That's what it's really good for, because when you listen to tunes for like, you know, even at a decade. I've had Spotify for a decade. How mad's that? That is crazy to think about it, isn't it? Have I? Near enough. Probably not a decade, but you're talking like more than 5 years anyway.
I don't know about like 2010. I don't know if you'd be on Spotify then.
2010?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was in uni.
Right, yeah.
And I went
you were
during
still
uni.
in school, 2010? Same age as me.
17.
2010, I left school.
So I was 17, so I'd have been first year college. I didn't have Spotify then, though. When did I first get Spotify? It was student, so uni, so I was 18, which would have been
2012.
2011? 2012 was it?
Yeah.
12 was it? Okay.
I remember my pastor more than you do.
I haven't a clue what I had for dinner yesterday. Like, I just don't remember.
I know when I went to school. I know when I entered uni. So.
I always get confused because it just, lots happened the last 5 years. But anyway, like I lost it all, but didn't school weekly, so I had like 5+ years worth of listening, and that algorithm's built up for that long, and then I've just gone, whoosh, everything's dead again.
Damn.
Now all it is like, See,
80s. I'm not too fussed. Like, I'm not a fan of Discover Weekly.
Oh, they're great.
I don't want an algorithm telling me like what to listen to.
It's not Discover Weekly. It's playlists, like made for you playlists, not Discover Weekly.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm discovering new music off this. It's more like things that I'd listen to, anyway, that are put into one place for me based on genre. So, it's just nice to have sometimes like a bit of, mix it up massively, but in the same kind of, vibe, I guess. They're just great. I like them a lot. Made for Yous are awesome. Really is.
Nice.
Although I didn't lose Heavies though. Mine and Daniel's secret playlist that has all the proper naughty metal on it. Love it.
Cool. Well, hopefully we'll have Matt back next week, and we'll be out of lockdown, I think, next week as well.
Well, to a degree.
But we hope you guys enjoyed that podcast.
Yeah,
diving into the Apple world, and we apologize if you are a PC user and you hated every minute of this, but hey,
we're not judging, I understand why you use them.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you again next week.
Yeah, take care.
See you later.
Bye bye.